Okay, here we go. We are on Daf Vav Amud Aleph 6a, and we are on the second line down from the top. We're doing a full Daf today, B'ezrat Hashem. Hopefully we should get it done within the hour, B'ezrat Hashem. 6a1, second line down. Yeah. Okay, so Metive, Harehu Alai.
Okay.
Yeah. Metive, right here. Okay. So we left off. We spoke about a machloket Abaye and Rava. We spoke about Yadot she'ena mochichot. We'll fill in George a little bit. So George, this is Masechet Nedarim. Nedarim is promises, oaths, vows, and if you say something very clear, like I promise I'm never going to eat meat again, let's just say, right? That's a very clear promise. Sometimes though, people say things that are not so clear, and we want to know, does that work or not? Now, there's certain types of terminologies that they call a yad. The yad is a hand, but also imagine a handle. Imagine a handle of a cup. I hold a handle and I lift up the whole cup, right? So even though it's just a little handle, but I lift the whole cup. So too, there can be sometimes you say just a few words, but it means that I made a promise. Like if I said I'm not eating this, I promise I'm not eating this meat again. So the word promise is the word like neder. So if you say something like, okay, I'm not eating this again, you can say the word promise. That also counts. It's like a yad in a certain way. It's like a. So there are certain terminologies that now we're going to get into the Hebrew terminologies where you're not saying the full thing. You're saying parts of it, and does it work or not? Now, even in the part words that you're saying, sometimes it's specific, sometimes it's vague. So like, I'm not eating again. I'm not eating it again. And what's it? It could be a lot of things. I'm not eating the meat again. Okay, that's specific. So, so we were talking about in general, when you have a type of wording that's vague, does that work or not? Is like the vague words, is it considered a yad? Is it considered a handle still for a vow, or is it not considered a handle for a vow? That's what we're discussing at the onset. So Abaye says it works, even though it's a vague statement, because let's remember this, vague could be, then I could say either I meant everything or I meant nothing, right? That's, so like, I'm never going to eat it. Well, what's it? What did just the example that came to mind. So it's something vague. Now, does that mean never going to eat anything, or that thing and a small thing? So Abaye says it works. It's Havyan Yadayim, and that means we're going to be strict. But Rava says no, it doesn't work. It's not. Yadayim she'enam mochichot, yadayim that are not specific is nothing. So we connected that machloket to machloket Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan. We'll bring that back into the Gemara a little bit later. Okay, so now the Gemara starts with that in mind. The Gemara starts metivi, a question. Hare hu alai, hare ze alai. So someone says these words. Hare hu alai. Behold, this is on me. Or behold, who is him? So behold, he is on me. Meaning, usually, this is a terminology for, we're going to see, for korban, for making something asur on yourself. So I say, now, it's a short version. You could, right? Hare hu alai usually would be ke korban. Like, this is on me like a korban. So if I would say, this watch is on me like a korban, it means I'm not going to use it anymore. It's like a korban. I can't use it for my own self. Here the guy just said, Harehu alai. This is on me. Or Hareze alai. Behold, this is on me. This is, right? So, a person says, Harehu alai or Hareze alai, asur. So that item becomes asur to the person. Why? Mipeneshu yad le korban. That is a yad for korban terminology. In general, you would say hareze alai ke korban. You didn't say the word korban. Hareze alai. That works. That's a yad mochiach. That's a yad mochiach. Says the Gemara, ta'ama damar alai hu de asur. What is that?
Oh, I think it's the connection. Maybe it's bad.
They use Wi-Fi.
No, I don't have Wi-Fi. Here.
There is Wi-Fi. I learned it like 2 weeks ago when I was recording.
You have the Wi-Fi password?
I have, but on here.
What?
You know?
What happened? Oh, he's back. He's back. Okay. You're there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So, says the Gemara 4 lines down. Ta'amad da'amar alai hu de asur. The fact that the person says on me, this is on me. So that's the usual terminology. Like, this is on me like a korban. You didn't say the word like a korban. This is on me. That's already okay. That's asur. Aval lo amar alai lo. But if you didn't say on me, you didn't say alai. You just said hareze. This is. So you would say that that's not going to be that's not going to work. And if it's not going to work, the Gemara is asking tiyuvta de Abaye. That should be a question on Abaye. Abaye is of the opinion that a yad she'eno mochiach havyan yadayim. A yad that is not specific still works. So harez alai is a specific yad. It's at the end of the day it's a yad because it didn't say korban. So harez alai, that works, asur. Hareze should be a yad that's not mochiach. That should be a vague terminology. Behold, this is. Well, this is what? It's vague. Abaye should say, oh, you said a yad that should make it asur on you. But it doesn't say that. It says it's not asur. That's a question on Abaye. That's a question on Abaye. That's the Gemara's question right now. Amar lecha Abaye. Abaye will tell you. Ta'amad amar alai hu de asur. Abaye says, hold on a second. The reason why it's asur when you say hareze alai is because you said the word alai. Aval amar harehu velo amar alai. If you say, behold, this is, and you didn't say this is on me, harehu de hefker, harehu de tzedakah ka'amar. Maybe he meant that this is hefker. I'm voluntarily giving this away, or maybe this is for tzedakah. He didn't have. Maybe it has nothing to do with Nedarim. So what Abaye is answering here is there's 3 levels. We mentioned this in one of the earlier classes. There's yadayim mochichot. Okay, there's maybe more levels. Neder, like a straight up neder. Now, in the yadayim thing, there's yadayim that's a specific yad. Harez alai. That is a specific yad. Like this is on me. Okay, so that's maybe mochiach. This is on me. That like a korban. So that's a yad. Harezeh. In the question that we have on Abaye is hareze should be a yad that's vague, and you say Abaye a yad that's vague is also asur. Answers Abaye, hareze is not even a yad. That's what he wants to answer back. It's not even. It's so low. It's not even a handle. Like we said, there's specific handles, vague handles. He says this is not even a handle. There's not even so. That's what he wants to because harezeh. This is what this could be. I'm like hefker. This could be tzedakah. This is on me. Oh, that's usually terminology of korban. This is on you, like a korban. That means this is on me, meaning I'm never going to use this again. That's a yad. That's specific. Harezeh is not even a yad. That's what Abaye wants to say. That's what Abaye wants to say. Asks the Gemara on that. Hold on a second, says the Gemara. The Gemara says that we're talking about here in the world of korbanot. Meaning, it's not just a person was randomly talking. Like we're talking about korbanot over here. Oh, Ron. Psh, יפה. You joined the shiur. Baruch haba.
No, I didn't join the show.
You came to say hi.
I just joined to say that I'm upset at you.
Why? אני לא לבד פה. תראה את כל החבר'ה.
We love you, Oron. We love you.
You're upset at me,
ביטול תורה. ביטול תורה. זה לא ביטול תורה, כבוד לאדם לחברו יותר חשוב. 3 חודשים הוא לא יתקשר אליי פעם אחת.
Oron.
ואתה התקשרת אליי?
לא.
So? אז אנחנו בתיקו.
Like the Gemara. no?
Oron.
Leon, I love you.
We love you too, Oron. The fact that you came on, זה מאיר את עינינו.
No, don't worry, I'm leaving. I just came
לא,
to
תישאר פה. תלמד קצת. אנחנו מדברים פה מסכת נדרים, על דיבור, כמה חשוב הדיבור. ואנחנו יודעים, אורון, הדיבור שלך, זהב.
Oron, bring the pizza.
Leon, have a good night. Rabbi, I'm going to take my dogs for a walk and I come back.
אוקיי.
בלי נדר.
בלי נדר תגיד, אנחנו פה נדרים, תגיד בלי נדר, אתה צריך להגיד.
בלי נדר. יאללה, ביי.
יאללה, ביי, אורון. חזק. All right, that was a good, what's the word, like,
Became practical.
yeah, exactly. What's the word with advertisements? Commercial break. Okay, good, commercial break. Okay, so the Gemara says, hold on, Abaye, yad lekorban ktani. The Gemara's question now is, and we'll go over the steps. The Gemara's question is, in this whole thing of hareze alai, we're talking about korbanot. Like, it was obvious that in this case, the guy was talking about korbanot, and all he said was hareze. So, in Abaye's last answer, he said, oh, it's not clear. Maybe it means hefker, maybe it means taka. Says the Gemara, we're talking about yad of korbanot. So hareze, in the world of korbanot, should still be a yad she'eno mochiach. Let's review the steps over here. So step number 1, we're asking a question on Abaye. Abaye's opinion is yad she'eno mochiach, a vague yad, still works. It still locks you in. So the Gemara says, okay, a person says hareze alai or harehu alai. Behold, this is on me. Oh, the Gemara said that's asur. That's like talk, like that's a korban talk. Even though you don't say the word korban, this is on me. That's like a korban. So the Gemara says, okay, that's because you said on me, alai. If you didn't say alai, that should be a question on Abaye. Because if you didn't say alai, then it's hareze. That should be a yad that's vague. Yashan mochiach. And Abaye says it's asur. Why is it not asur? Says Abaye, that's not even a yad. It's maybe this is hareze is like hefker. Hareze is like tzedakah. Asks the Gemara back. Hold on a sec. We're talking about yad of korbanot. It seems like we're in the conversation of korbanot. And the guy says hareze. That should be, according to you, Abaye, a vague yad, and that should be asur. Don't say that it's out of the yad completely. It's talking about hefker, talking about tzedakah. We're in the conversation of korbanot, and the guy says hareze. According to you, that should still be in the category of yad that's not mochiach, and a yad that's not mochiach, a vague yad should work. And you see, it doesn't. Now they're going to say ela ema. Now we're going to say a new answer for Abaye.
What
Okay,
is
but
the
that's-
actual neder in this situation? We're saying this neder is like a korbanot,
Right.
right? But
Well,
what is the neder?
So it's pointing to something where he said this is like a korban, meaning this is now going to not. It's asur to me because I can't use a korban for my own personal use. So this is gonna be like this is like a korban. This is alai. This is on me, and usually the end of the sentence is like a korban. So that's why everyone agrees that that's asur. That's a yad. That's mochiach. That's a specific because he says hareze alai. This is on me. What's this? This whatever the watch, the phone. This like a korban that I can't use a korban for my own personal use. So to this thing that I'm pointing to. Now what about hareze? So Abaye says something that's vague usually works. So, and here we see something that vague doesn't work. Question on Abaye. That's not even considered a yad. That's so vague. That could be stakah, it could be hefker. The Gemara answers, no, we're talking about in the category of korban. we're in the conversation of korban. The guy just says the word harezeh. That should be a vague korban, a vague yad that you Abaye should say that's asur, and you're still saying, and it still shows from here that it's not asur. It's a question on Abaye. Let's read the Ran. Get it. We'll review it again in the Ran, and then we'll move on to the next answer. The Gemara is going to try answering for Abaye. Metive. We are in the Ran. 5 lines down, the wide lines at the bottom, where it says metive.
Oh, here.
Yeah. There it doesn't have the translation, so you have to trust me on it.
Okay.
Okay. Metive. Harehu alai v'chudei. Ta'amad amar alai hu de'asur, aval lo amar lo. Ve'af agav debelo alai vadai yad mihave. Even though he doesn't say alai, it's for sure a yad. It's for sure, that's what we're taking on in the question. In the question we ask about we're saying harezeh without alai is a yad. Umeshninan, and we answer v'dilma harehu hefker kamar. And we're answering, no, maybe without the word alai, it's hefker. It's talking about tzedakah, hefker, it's something else. Not even a yad. Klomar, as if to say, the below alai, without the word alai, afilu yad she'eno mochiach lo havi. It's not even a yad she'eno mochiach. It's not even a vague yad. Havi li yisur. Mishum de yad eno ela be'alai. A yad is only when it says alai on me. Without alai, it's nothing. Amar harez alai. V'imasik dibure ve'amar hare alai asur. And if you cut your words, but you say this is on me, it's asur. And then we ask, so that would have been a good answer for Abaye. He says, it's like hefker, it's like tzedakah. Then we ask, umakshinan, continuing in the run, ve'ami peneh shehu yad lekorban ktani. Klomar, miktani shehu yad leneder. Who says that we're talking about a conversation of yad for nedarim? Yad lekorban ktani. We're talking about yadot lekorbanot. That's what the discussion is. And we're going to see, the first Mishnah we started in Masechet Nedarim is yad nedarim ke nedarim. Handles of vows is like a vow. Now there's going to be handles, we spoke of Nazir. Remember Nazir and Nedarim are the same. So Yad of Nazir works for Nazirut. And we're going to see more in our Gemara, so now we're talking about Yad of Korban is called Korbanot. So the question was, like, you think we're talking about Yad of Nedarim? We're talking Yad of Korbanot. That's also Korban. And we're going to talk about Yad of Pe'ah, because there's a lot of things that we say that are basically like vows for different topics of halacha, and does a yad in that topic work? We're going to talk kiddushin today. We're going to talk about pe'ah. We're talking about a few topics that a yad, like a person says hare'at mekudeshetli, without kedat Moshe v'Yisrael. Will you marry me? Without saying the words like the laws of Moshe and Israel. Does that work? Does that work? We're going to talk about that. So there's yad for, there's even wilder cases over here. So yad works, is handle is in many subjects. We talked about Nedarim, we talked about Nazir. Now, the answer on this Gemara is, we're not talking about Neder over here, we're talking about Korban. And Harez should be a yad, a vague yad, but a yad for Korban. Let's go back to the Ran. Klomar miktani shu yad leneder. I'm reading 5 lines up from the bottom of the page in the Ran, as if to say that we're talking about yad and neder. Yad le korban ktani. We're talking about yadot and korbanot. To the korban harehu belo alai. In talks of korban, the words harehu, behold this, belo alai, without saying on me, have a yad, is a yad. Sheken derech mitnadvim lomar harehu korban. Because people that donate korbanot usually say the words harehu korban. Behold, this is a korban. So if you just say behold, this is, maybe that should also be a yad. Afilu achi. Davka be'alai shma minad Yisrael yadayim she'en mochichot lo hav yadayim. And therefore, that's what we're asking on Abaye. We're saying specifically with alai, we learn from here that vague yadayim is not yadayim. That's the question on Abaye. So Abaye couldn't wiggle out of this one. So we have a question on it. Now the Gemara gives an answer for Abaye. Back to the Gemara. Ela ema. 40% down. 3, 6, 9 lines down. Ela rather, Ema se ta'ama de amar alai hu de asur. Now the Gemara is trying to say something else. That alai is referring to something else, and the Gemara says as follows. Ema ta'ama de amar alai hu asur v'chavero mutar. The fact that he says the word alai, on me, behold, this is going to be on me, what it means is, on me it's asur. But on my friend, it's still allowed. Aval amar harehu. If he just says harehu, shnehem asurim. Shnehem asurim. Why? How could both of them be asur? Him and his friends could be asur. The dilma harehu hekdesh kamar, because maybe harehu is hekdesh, is a donation to the Bet HaMikdash. When I donate something to the Bet HaMikdash, it is asur to everyone. So the Gemara wants to wiggle out for Abaye by saying, when we said over here, Harize alai is asur, without the word alai is not asur. No, what we meant is asur for you, and not asur for others. But without the word alai, it's asur for everyone. So we wiggled out of this for Abaye, and the Gemara saved him. But the halacha here that we're learning is when a person says Harize alai, behold, this is on me. This watch, it says on me. That's like a korban. That means it's on me like a korban. It's asur for me to use. But if a person says Harezeh, behold, this is, we're in the category of korban. We're talking about korban, talking about hekdesh, things that are making holy the Beit HaMikdash. When I say, behold, this is, and this item is obviously something that belongs to me, I have the right over it to do what I want with it. Therefore, when I say, behold, this is, it's talking about hekdesh. That means I donated it to the Beit HaMikdash, and now nobody can use it. So that's how we're answering the Gemara, the Harehu alai, Hareze alai asur. That's only if you say alai. If you don't say alai, it's not asur. What do we mean is, if we don't say alai, not that it's yadayim she'en mochichot is not yadayim, a question of Abaye. Rather, we're talking about alai is asur for me only. Hareze is asur for the two of us. Okay. And
The question, Rabbi, the question is yad. It means a sacrifice? I mean, you're saying that yad is not a hand?
no, yad means a hand. Yad always means a hand.
It's
But
a handle here.
It's a handle. Imagine a handle of like I said, a handle of a cup.
Okay.
That I just lift a little bit, I lift the whole cup. So too in my words, I could have handles. That I just say 2 words? Oh, that's what it means. So a yad with regards to korban, I could just say the word, behold, this is. Oh, behold, this is what? That means that's terminology of korban. So you just turn this into something that now that you have to donate this as a korban, you have to. So certain words could mean, even though it's a small amount of words and it's vague, specific, it could mean something else. Okay. And the point the Ran over here speaks out that when a person says Harezeh without the word alai, now what we're saying in the Gemara is because it's vague, you could go either lenient or stringent, and therefore he goes stringent and says it's asur for me and friends. Okay. First one line metive, halfway down the page. Metive harezu chatat harezu asham. Here's now we're quoting Tosefta. A person says, behold, this animal is a chatat. This animal is asham. Afa pishu chayav chatat ve'asham. Even though he already has, he's chayav, he's obligated to bring a chatat and asham. Lo amar kalum. It's as if he said nothing. He says something. This is a chatat. This is an asham. It's as if he said nothing. We'll see why. Hare zu chatati. Hare zu ashami. Person says, this is my chatat, meaning the chatat that I owe, this is my chatat. The asham that I owe, this is my asham. Imu mechuyav. If he already owed a chatat or an asham, dvarav kayamim. His words work. Asks the Gemara Tifta de Abaye. This is a question on Abaye. Why is it a question on Abaye? Because when a person says, and the Ran fills in, why is it when, just stop, why is it when I say, this is a chatat, it doesn't work? If I don't owe, even if I own a chatat, I owe a chatat, this is a chatat, it doesn't work. This is my chatat, it works. Why? Because this is a chatat, you're using terminology of a nedava, of a donation. Oh, this is a chatat. No, you can't donate chatat. You can't donate sin offering. You can't donate guilty offering. You can donate random and say this is a nedava, but you can. You could say this is a shlamim. This is a peace offering. You turn it in, but you can't say this is a sin offering. This is my sin offering that you. Okay, that's different. But what's the question? The question is Abaye, who holds yadayim she'ena mochichot havyan yadayim that are vague. It still works. This is pretty vague / specific. Where you're saying this is a chatat. This is my chatat. That works. This is a chatat. Doesn't work. Abaye, you should say that works. Question on Abaye. Answers the Gemara. Amar Abaye. You know what Abaye will tell you? Hamani Rav Yehuda. That's actually Rav Yehuda. This whole chatat thing is actually the opinion of Rav Yehuda. Where Rav Yehuda said that you need to be specific. So when a person says Harezu chatat, that's not that Tana, because this is quoting a Tosefta, Tanaic work, is Rav Yehuda. So Abaye gets out of it by saying that's not who I'm in line with. Remember, Abaye was in line with Rabbanan. So that's Rav Yehuda. And Rav Yehuda says, yeah, you need to be specific. Asks the Gemara, but we saw last Gemara that said, Abaye says, I could also fit into Rav Yehuda's opinion. Because Rav Yehuda only spoke about Gitin, you have to be specific. If you remember, we spoke about that. But otherwise, Rav Yehuda is of the opinion that says, no, you never have to be specific. So hold on a second, Abaye. You can't answer that this is talking specific because that's Rav Yehuda. That's a different Tana. I don't go with that Tana. I go with Rabbanan. You can't answer that now if you say, I always go with Rabbi Yehuda. Answers the Gemara, Hadarbe. The Gemara is telling this information, historic information, later than the Gemara prior. He retracted, meaning a page ago, Abaye says, I can also fit into Rabbi Yehuda's statement. That Rabbi Yehuda is specific only by a get. You have to be specific who the names are exactly. Otherwise, he's not specific. And I agree with him. We don't have to be specific. Over here, we have a question. Zuchatat, Zohasham. It's like nothing. It's like nothing. That's a yad. That's unspecific. Abaye, hey, that should be something. No, that's Rabbi Yehuda. Who says you have to be specific? Rabbi Yehuda, you go with Rabbi Yehuda. No. Hadar, but he went back on his word. Says Abaye, no, I don't sign up with Rabbi Yehuda anymore. So it doesn't. So it's not. So he says, okay, so that's not. He so basically, how does Abaye wiggle out of this one? He says that's Rabbi Yehuda. Oh, don't you hold like Rabbi? I don't hold like Rabbi Yehuda. So that Tanaic works Rabbi Yehuda. Not a question on me. Now the Gemara says, well, remember there was Rava who argued on Abaye, and Rava was of the opinion that Yadayim she'ena mechichot enam Yadayim. Says unspecific Yadayim do not work, and we said that is like Rabbi Yehuda. It means you have to be specific. So the Gemara now wants to know, because remember we said Rava is like Rabbi Yehuda, but he could also go like Rabbanan. We want to ask again. The Gemara is going to ask: we retracted from Abaye that Abaye is only according to Rabbanan, and we said Rava could also fit into Rabbanan. Are we saying now that Rava? Are we also Hadar Be'an Rava? Are we also retracting from Rava, or can Rava also fit into Rabbanan? The Gemara is going to answer: no, Rava still is untouched. Rava could still fit into Rabbanan as well. Says the Gemara, Ela lema Rava de Amar ke Rav Yehuda. So now say Rava holds like Rav Yehuda completely and only like Rav Yehuda. That you have to be specific. And Amar lecha Rava will tell you, no. Anad Amri afilu Rabbanan. No. This is still intact. What we learned on the last page, that Rava could still fit into Rabbanan. He said, I can also wiggle my way into Rabbanan. Ad kan lo ka'ami Rabbanan. This is a quote from last Gemara. Because until now, the Rabbanan only said, lo kan Rabbanan de lo ba'inan yadayim mochichot ela gabe get de adam megarish eshet chavero. Says the Gemara, says Rabbanan, that you what's it called? That you don't need to be specific. That's only by get. You don't need to be specific. You have to be specific about everything else. Because Rava holds specific. Rav Yehuda holds specific. Can Rava fit into Rabbanan? He says, yes, I can fit into Rabbanan. How? Rabbanan really also holds only specific. I get. He doesn't. He says you don't have to be specific. Yeah, because a get you don't have to be specific, because the logic there is a person's not going to divorce his friend's wife. Meaning, even if you're not even if you don't have to be that specific, because who are you giving the get to? You're giving it to obviously your wife. So how specific do you have to be? Everybody knows it's your wife. You could write it in a little bit of a vague way, and it still works. But everything else you have to be specific. But in general, you need to be specific. So this last part of the Gemara was that Abaye, we had a question on from the Arezu Khatat, that should also be Asur. He said, no, that's Rav Yehuda. Don't you hold like Rav Yehuda? No, I don't hold like Rav Yehuda. Okay, so hold on a second. Rava held like Rav Yehuda, but we also squeezed them into Rabbanan. Does he still squeeze into Rabbanan, or he only goes Rav Yehuda? He says, no, I also still squeeze into Rabbanan. The only thing we went back on was Abaye. Okay, so Abaye, we had questions on him, and he deflected them. And now we're getting into other questions in general about yads.
I just wondered how you get from a neder to a get, because that's basically what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, good question. How do we get from a neder to a get? So we spoke about last time that when it came to a get, a person, what did he write? He wrote the get. He wrote the get vague, or did you when you write the get, does it have to be vague? Can you be yotze on a vague get, or does it have to be specific? So in the case that has to be specific, is like, yeah, you got to make sure it's the specific one. But on the explanation that it can be even vague is like, who else are you divorcing? You're divorcing your wife. So it can be vague. We wanted to know that machloket, a vague specific, by a get, does that expound to vague specific in other areas or not?
But do you have to make a neder to get a divorce?
No, as you're saying, in the writing. In the writing.
Or is you're permitted to everyone in what ceremony?
Sorry?
If I remember correctly, you're permitted to everyone, or was you? I think that's something
Right.
or something like that, right?
Yeah, he wrote, you're permitted to everyone.
Yeah.
Or you have to write more specifically, through this writing, this is a get that allows you to marry others. And cutting off our relationship, etc. How specific do you need to be? But it's in writing. Okay. Now, new question about yad. Yad is, so we know yadayim of nedarim, so yadayim of nezirut, yadayim of korbanot, and now the Gemara says, Bai Rav Papa. Rav Papa asks a question. Yesh yad lakidushin or lo? Is there a yad for kiddushin, for marriage, or is there not? So the Gemara is asking, even for a yad mochiach, even for a specific yad, is there in general, is there yadayim by kiddushin or not?
That's the paper that they have at the kiddushin.
No, not the ketubah, but this is in the statement that you say.
Oh,
Because the guy says, Hareat mekudesh li v'tabad zu kedam Yisrael. But we're going to bring in other statements in a moment. So, here's the case. So, by Rav Papa asks, Yesh yad la kiddushin or no? Is there a yad for kiddushin or not? What is the case? Maybe he'll say, the Amar la isha. He tells a woman, Hare at mekudeshet li. Behold, you are married to me. The Amar Chaberta, and he tells us her friend, the Atnamin, you too. So, is the you too also, does that work or not? Right? That's what we know. That's a yeah. All he says is you too. But I go on the last statement. Now the Ran points out what's going on over here is you give girl number one 2 prutot. The minimum amount of money you could marry a girl with is a pruta, worth about 10 cents. Right? Don't tell the ladies, right? So you give her 2 dimes, 2
Please tell.
prutot. Huh?
Please tell.
Please tell the lady, right? Yeah. 2 prutot you give to lady number one. You tell lady number one, will you marry me? And you say to the proper lashon, haret mekudesheli. And also you. It tells the other lady. Now that means, what the money she got, because if you give the money to the second lady, it seems like when you say you too is for sure going on that because you gave her the money. But here you gave the money to lady number one, and just the word and you too to lady number two.
Without money.
With that money, yeah, exactly. We're splitting it, right? So does that transfer or not? Ve'at nami, and you as well. It says the Gemara, third line down, pshita. That's obvious. Haynu kiddushin atzman. That is actual kiddushin. That works. Says the Gemara. That's not even a question. That will work. If you say to lady number one, you gave her 2 prutot, will you marry me? And you too. Ela, but rather, what's the question? Is it a yad or not a yad? Okay, go on. For instance, the amar la leisha harat mekudeshli. You tell lady number one, will you marry me? Ve'amar la lechaverta ve'at, and you, not and you too. You say and you to the other lady. So what does that you mean? Mi amrina, do we say ve'at nami? Do we say that and you means and you too? Amar lechaverta ve'tav seba kiddushin lechaverta, and it works for lady number one to get the kiddushin money, and it works for lady number two, or odilma, or maybe ve'at means ve'at chazan. You look. I mean, you're not included. You look. See what's going on over here. So when I say harat mekudeshli ve'at, ve'at nami, and you as well, everyone agrees. That's you too. That's no question. If you say ve'at and you, what does that mean? Does it mean and you too, or does that mean and you look? Just look what's going on. You're not included, but you look. Amar la lechaverta ve'lo tavsiba kiddushin lechaverta. So is it and you look and you're on the outside and the kiddushin doesn't work? So that's what we want to know, that ve'at is a yad in kiddushin. Does yad in kiddushin work? It's interesting. The Ran gets into a side point because what happens is when back in the day, a man married more than one lady. When he marries a second lady, each lady is called a tzara to one another. We learned this in Yevamot. Tzarot is problems. So 2 wives are called. Each one's called a tzara to another.
Actually, Sarah to husband.
Tzara to the husband, but tzara to one another also. So the question is, can wife number one be a shaliach to do the marriage for her husband to another lady as well? Or you say, no, it's her tzara, she wouldn't want to do that. So the Gemara answers, no, you could. A lady could accept the money from her husband to do a wedding to be a shaliach to the other lady. So the Ran gets out of that. But as far as the yad, we want to know, and you just say the word ve'at, does that work or not?
Well, then you have to get a permission from the first one in order to get a second one.
No.
Permission?
Permission?
Yeah.
No. Not officially. No.
Taking all the fun.
Okay. So now, okay. So now, says the Gemara, okay, does ve'at work? Says the Gemara, we are 3, 6, 9 lines down. Umi mi bayele le Rav Papa? Is this a question for Rav Papa? Is this a question? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why it's not a question. Amar le Rav Papa la baye. Rav Papa in Masechet Kiddushin, this little aleph shows you Masechet Kiddushin Tav Hey and with bet. It means this was a conversation in Kiddushin, because the whole question is here: is there a yad for Kiddushin or not? And in Masechet Kiddushin, Rav Papa asks Abaye, Misavar Shmuel Yadayim she'en mochichot havin Yadayim. Is Shmuel of the opinion that Yadayim she'en mochichot, vague Yadayim, is Yadayim? Does Shmuel hold of that? Rav Papa told Abaye, does Shmuel hold that vague Yadayim work? So, says the Gemara, Michlal, the Svirale, obviously you could infer from here that he holds the Rav Papa, the Yesh Yad Kiddushin, that there is a Yad Kiddushin, meaning Rav Papa tells Abaye, does Shmuel hold a vague Yad works for Kiddushin? Mashma, a non-vague Yad, he didn't have a question on. non-vague yad, specific yad, works for kiddushin. So that Rav Papa did not have a question about. He was just saying, like, what? Does Shmuel say a vague yad works for kiddushin? Meaning, you could infer from there a specific yad works for kiddushin. So, is Rav Papa over here really asking, does yadayim work for kiddushin or not? And we're even talking about even specific yadayim. He knows that from the way he questioned Shmuel to Abaye when he talked to him in Masachet Kiddushin. Answers the Gemara. This word chada is from the Mefarshim. It says is really shouldn't be there. The Gemara says migo mai desvir le Shmuel amar le Abaye. Says the Gemara that it was from what Rav Papa was basically asking a stira, was asking a contradiction in Shmuel's words. That's what he told Abaye. From migo my desvir le Shmuel, from what Shmuel holds, amar le Abaye. That's what he told Abaye. Meaning, he was telling Abaye, does Shmuel hold that a vague yad works for kiddushin? And what did he tell Abaye? He told Abaye because there's another source that says that he holds that a vague yad doesn't work for kiddushin. He was basically asking a question in a contradiction. It was like a middle of a conversation. The Gemara tried pulling one side. He said, hold on a second. The Gemara says here in this answer, that's not the full story. The full story wasn't that Rav Papa says to Abaye, Shmuel's of the opinion, is Shmuel really of the opinion that vague yads work for kiddushin? Rather, Rav Papa was in a conversation with Abaye and tells him, hold on a second, Shmuel in one place says vague yads work, in one place says vague yads don't work. So that was the conversation. So we can't infer from there what Rav Papa's opinion was. Don't just look at it as an isolated statement that does Shmuel hold that vague yads work for kiddushin, meaning specific yads do work, and we now, Rav Papa, you don't have a question. Answer the Gemara, no, Rav Papa was just talking about a stira in Shmuel's words, but you can't see either way from Rav Papa, and therefore Rav Papa's question is intact. And the Gemara doesn't answer, but Rav Papa's question is intact, that is there yadayim for kiddushin or not? Yeah.
I have a question. Is Shmuel, Abaya, and Papa contemporary? Like, are they from the same time? And
Right.
they're all
Good question.
Because
Rav Papa and Abaye, yes.
Shmuel is not.
Yes,
so
but Shmuel is. I think Shmuel is
elder generation.
is because Shmuel and Rav were at the end of the Tanaim. They were at the end of the Tanaim, the end of the Mishnayot era, and Rav Papa and Abaye were the Gemara. So that's where they're asking a contradiction in Shmuel's words.
Yeah.
A good point. It's always good to know historically who's
Which is earlier, Mishnah or Gemara?
Yeah, Mishnah. Mishnayot was the kind of concise halachot, and the Gemara expounds on it. This is what we're learning now, the questioning back and forth.
Right.
This is the back end of the Mishnah. Okay, so that was a question in Kiddushin. Is there yad for Kiddushin or not? Gemara doesn't answer, but leaves it with again ve'at. Next, Gemara has another question of yad. By Rav Papa. Rav Papa asks the question: Yesh yad lepe'ah or en yad lepe'ah? We know in the Torah there's a mitzvah of pe'ah, leaving a corner of your field for the poor. So, is there a yad for pe'ah or not? Says like, what's a case of yadayim for pe'ah? What is that case? Ilema de'amar. If you say maybe the case is Haden ugia lehave pe'ah. If a person says, behold, this patch of my land is going to be for pe'ah. Ve'haden nami. And this one too. Ha'i pe'ah me'aliyatai. That is a perfect case of pe'ah. Because you said this one too. Like we said with ve'atanami, so too. Ve'haden nami, that one too. So this patch and this one too. That there's no question about. Ki kami ba'ele. What is the question of Rav Papa? Amar ve'haden, velo amar nami. And this one. So you said this patch is for pe'ah, and this one too, and this one is not. What's and this one? So it says, Gemara says, "My, what is it? What's ve'haden?" So Gemara learns. So the Gemara pauses from this question: Is there yad and pe'ah or not? And the Gemara says, hold on, we could deduce something from here. 7 lines on the bottom. Michlal, we could deduce from here. The ki amar sadeh kula tihave pe'ah, have pe'ah? The Gemara says, hold on, we can deduce from here that if a person says, I want my whole field to be pe'ah, it would work. The Gemara says, yes, that's true. And there's a brighter that proves that. How do we know that if a person wants to make his entire field into pe'ah, it works? Talmud Lomar, as the pasuk says, pe'at sadecha, the corner of your field. Let's look at the Ran quickly. 2, 4, 6 lines up from the bottom. Talmud Lomar, pe'at sadecha, 4 words. Midlo katuv, pe'ah shebesadecha. Because the pasuk does not say the pe'ah which is in your field. Pe'ah shebesadecha is the pe'ah within your field. That means there's your field and there's a pe'ah. Pe'at sadecha is you can make your entire field a pe'ah. So that's a side point of the concept we learn from here, that because you could say, oh, this patch and that patch, you can make your entire field a pe'ah. So now going back to our question, is there yad by pe'ah or not? When a person says, I want to give this patch ve'aden and this, 4 lines up from the bottom. Miyamrina, do we say, kevan ditkash lekorbanot, there's a connection, and we're going to see the pasuk, between korbanot and pe'ah. We're going to see there's a connection. So now that there's a connection, ma korbanot yesh lahem yad. By korbanot we know that there's a concept of yad. Af pe'ah yesh la yad. So too by pe'ah there is. Or dilma, or maybe ki itkash lebal ta'acher hu ditkash. Or we say no. The connection between pe'ah and korbanot is not to do with yad, but it has to do with bal ta'acher. Then in korbanot you're not allowed to wait 3 holidays, Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, before you give your korban. So too pe'ah, you have to give it within the 3 holidays. Maybe that's the connection. So is the connection between pe'ah and korban regarding yadayim or regarding bal te'acher?
Rabbi,
Yeah.
quick question. Peah, peah is only done on Yovel, no? No, like it's every time? All the time?
Yeah, and it's every harvest.
But
Yes,
again,
definitely.
you can do it only on the harvest, like a specific month or 2 months of the year.
Yeah.
So, how come there is
a time limit?
Time limit? Because like, if I do it, if I do the neder on Simchat Torah in 3 holidays, which is the end of the Shavuot, that I cannot harvest. So, how it's possible?
So, okay, depends maybe which fruits, depends which seasons, depends which area.
Yeah.
Like if things are right, so that you could have those situations. Plus,
trees typically, give fruit in the same time.
yeah,
Not every tree, but
yeah.
but the tree, you cannot change the tree. If in your field you have apple tree, it's apple tree. Like you cannot change it every year.
So, the thing is that, like, I don't know if it comes once a year. Sometimes you could have fruits or wheat that could do maybe multiple per year.
For trees, no.
For trees, no.
Trees
Pe'ah
always
tzedakah is also is for tevu, also
okay.
grain and stuff. So what's basically the case is let's say I owed 10 pounds of pe'ah after this harvest. I didn't give it out yet, but I know I owed that amount. So you have to pay that before 3 holidays go by. So if now I have another harvest, get it in there or whatever. So you can't let what you're owed go past 3 holidays. Mm-hmm. So how it works, sometimes it could be you harvested right after the holidays, and then so the 3 holidays is later.
Like,
3 holidays could be earlier.
3 days after you harvest.
From when you're obligated to give the pe'ah. Yes,
yeah.
From the harvest. Okay, so now we want to know we had a question of Rav Papa. Is there a yad by pe'ah or not? And we said maybe there would be because pe'ah is connected to korbanot, and just like korbanot there is a yad, so too by pe'ah. And we said, well, maybe the connection is by bal te'acher. Now the Gemara says, hold on a second. Vehecha itkash. Where is there that hekesh? Where is the connection between the bottom line? Where's the connection between bal te'acher? Between pe'ah and korbanot? Says the Gemara, Tanya, me'imach. As the pasuk says, me'imach. Ze leket shicha u'pe'ah. If you have the pasuk, The pasuk says, if you have it on the side of the aleph, Ki tidor neder la Hashem. When a person makes a neder to Hashem, Elokecha, your God. Lo te'acher l'shalemo. That's lo te'acher. Don't delay in paying it. Ki darosh yidreshenu Hashem Elokecha me'imach. Because Hashem will doresh it from you. He'll get it from you. Me'imach from you. It's going to be a sin. Me'imach from you. Now there's another pasuk. If you have inside Likutei Rashi, Rashi is a likut from a gathering of other places in Shas. Quotes of Rashi in Masechet Rosh Hashanah. This is on the side of the Gemara. If you have Likutei Rashi, me'imach zeleket shichal pe'ah shehen chelko shel ani, because that is the part of the ani. Ani dichtiv et he'ani imach, the ani with you. So imach is talking about poor people. That is leket shichan pe'ah. And this pasuk, the neder that you better pay up in time, is talking about korbanot and devarim over there. So there's a connection between korbanot. Imach is mentioned in the korbanot, and imach is mentioned ani imach. Take care of the poor person among you. So there's a connection between imach of poor people and imach of korbanot. So that's the hekesh. And that's the top line. Me'imach zeleket shicha upeah. Me'imach is referring to hani imach, the poor people among you. That is leket shichan pe'ah. Leket is the when you are, so pe'ah we said is a corner. Leket is when you are harvesting and you have less than 3 pieces of grain fall on the floor. 3 or more you can pick it up. Less than 3 fall, you have to leave it, and then they lick it, they gather it. And shicha is you forgot, meaning let's say, so what you do is you would take wheat all there, you would grab it, and you would cut it, and then you would tie it, and then you would leave that bushel in the ground, on the ground. Then you go after it and collect them. So you keep on going like that, cut, or tie first, then cut. Tie, cut, tie, cut. As they have the sickles, those to the Turkish flag. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you cut it like that. So then you go back to the field and collect those bushels. Let's say you forgot some bushels after you finished collecting them. So you forgot some bushels in the field, you have to leave that. Shicha, you forgot it, you have to leave it for the poor person. So, me'imach is for the poor. That's the connection between the two. So again, here as well, we didn't answer the question. We left it as a question, but Rapa's question, is there a yad for pe'ah or not? And that depends on the connection between pe'ah and korbanot, which the connection is me'imach. Is that connection for yad, or is that connection for Baal Te'acher? The one doesn't answer. And then, next week, is yesh yad tzedakah or en yad tzedakah? Is there yad for tzedakah or not? And that's good. We promised tzedakah, etc. We're going to get the whole tzedakah Gemara. Yesh yad lehefker or not? Looks like it's going to be interesting. Chazaku Baruch. Sorry I had to cancel yesterday, and B'ezrat Hashem will be on track. We got the full daf in, Baruch Hashem.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Chazak Baruch, for sure. Moving along, that was Daf Vav. Chazak. That. We're almost 10%. Right? Page 6 is 6 out of 90. 7.5%.